Hello everyone. I'd like to spend a few minutes today to talk about a few tips about working with groups in 3D Compose. 3D Compose application within the 3D Product Architect lets you establish a number of objects that you want to manipulate in some way in the move command. And there's really two types of groups. And the first one is what we call a persistent group. This group is active for the entire time you're in the Compose command, whether you're the Compose applications. Whether you're using a specific command against that group or not, or in the move command we're focused on today, doesn't really matter. You can establish it inside or outside of that command. And we do that through the level selector. So this command is affected by a particular component or components group selection within a branch of a tree of a structure. Now when you use the levels command, as you may know if you've worked with it at all yet, you can select up and down the tree where that particular item you've selected is, establish a group of objects, and that becomes the persistent group and will remain that way for the life of this particular application running in this tab on your desktop. Until you change tabs or go to some other app, this is a persistent group of objects that can be manipulated. In addition to this particular command, this type of group, you have non-persistent, what I like to call ad hoc groups. These are groups you just create kind of on the fly. You have to create these within the context of the move command. And of course, as I say, they're ad hoc, so when you exit the move command, the group exits. It no longer exists. The persistent groups, though, continue to persist in the session. And in this scenario, you use the control key to just select objects that you want to be part of that group. And as I said, it has to occur within the context of the move operation. Once you've selected those, you can also select, I should say, groups that you previously, persistent groups you previously selected, as well as additional entities with the control key within the command. So you can create hybrid groups, you could say here. Let's take a quick look at what this looks like in the system. Here we're working in a drone and we've got a camera assembly and we'd like to manipulate it. Now by default, when you grab any object in the system without doing anything, you have control of that single object, whether you're just dragging it or working within the move command. Now, once you establish the move operation command, then you have a couple of options you can work with. Of course, the default is whatever object you attach the triad to, that's the object the system will be able to move by the various operations of the command. In addition, if I choose, after I set the triad command, I can select other objects instead of the default object, and those become the active object that I can move. And during the session, I can establish and change the ad hoc components I want to work with at any time. Now, beyond these ad hoc grouping components, as I said, we can use the level selector, establish a group. In this case, we'll establish first the whole structure of the searchlight. So now we can move that entire searchlight assembly as one group with the move command. So if we were positioning us, say, on the drone itself, this would be likely what we would do is group the whole thing before we bring the move operations themselves to bear. But we can also, as I said, this is now persistent, but we can also modify the command. So I'm going to downsize that to just the light subassembly in the structure. This becomes my new persistent structure and will remain that way. And now any movements I make and by picking anything in that group will affect the whole group. So the move command now is targeting everything in that particular persistent group. Now I could cancel out of this, or I can control pick an additional item anytime I want and create an ad hoc hybrid group with the persistent and the additional elements that aren't necessarily in the tree within the structure. Regardless of this, and as I said, when I exit the command, the persistent group will always remain there, so if I go back and do any other moves, I can re-access and reuse that persistent group. In addition, I can create additional groups independent of this persistent group, several inside this session, and they will all exist until I complete the session. Hopefully this little bit of information about just working with groups inside the 3D Compose will help you when you start working with the 3D Product Architect. Thank you.